The protagonist of the movie is Manu, a homeless guy who does menial jobs for cash. He is so poor that he doesn't even hesitate to do shady work. Currently, he is living on a beach, as he was kicked out of his house for not paying his rent on time one day. As he is relaxing in the sun, one of his old clients named Lush approaches him. He has brought a proposition. Manu will have to pick up a suitcase from a tea and deliver it to another man. During the whole process, he is not allowed to look inside the suitcase as it contains something very important, and since the mission is confidential, he will have to transport it in a car. It is evident that the job is illegal, but Manu is so desperate for money that he agrees without any questions. However, there is one slight problem. He does not own a car. He politely asks if he can deliver the suitcase by hand, but Lush angrily refuses, saying a vehicle is a must. After the guy departs, Manu starts looking for a car. Since he doesn't have money to buy one, he resorts to stealing one. He eventually finds an old model and drives it to his best friend Jean Go. Manu doesn't want to proceed with the mission alone, so he asks Jean Go to join him. He proposes that they split the money in half. Since the latter is also desperate for cash, he agrees right away. Later, as the two are on their way to their destination, they hear some strange noises coming from the trunk. They dismiss it as the engine, but the sound keeps growing louder and louder. Shortly after, the car suddenly stops in the middle of the road. But the noise still persists, confirming that it is not the engine. The guys then nervously open the trunk to check, only to find a massive fly kept there. This shocks the two, as the insect looks like it has come from another planet. They promptly close the trunk and start discussing their next move. Manu wants to throw the fly away so that they can make room for the suitcase they are about to pick up. However, when he tries opening the trunk, it gets stuck. This leaves him worried, as Lush has instructed him to keep the suitcase inside the TR trunk. As he struggles to come up with a solution, an idea strikes John Gobb's mind. He proposes that they tame the insect and teach it how to steal money and food from others. This will be worth way more than the 500 they're about to get from their target. Manu likes the idea, so he immediately gets on board. The two then quit their current mission and decide to focus on the fly. But at first, they will need a place to stay, as the insect cannot be seen in public. After a while of wandering around, they spot an old trailer. Because they are in the middle of nowhere, they decide that it is the perfect place to train the fly. The only problem is that an old man lives inside it. But Manu has a solution for everything. He engages the man in a conversation before knocking him out from behind. The two friends then tie him to a barrel and take over the trailer. While searching around the place, they find food, tools, and even a gun. Manu has never used one in his life, but nonetheless he keeps it for protection. The two then use the tools to finally open the car's truck trunk. After this, they decide to bring the fly inside and tie duct tape around it so that it doesn't escape. Just then, the old man reveals that he has hidden €3 nearby, and he will gladly give it to them if they let him go free. Manu doesn't even question him, and he agrees to escort him there. Meanwhile, Jean Gobb decides to stay in the trailer and look after the fly. Along the way, Manu stops the car and starts searching around for the gun. This gives the old man enough time to open the door and make a run for it. But by the time Manu realizes what has happened, it's too late. He returns home and sadly tells his friend that he didn't get the money. To his rage, Jean Goab has bought cat food with the remaining cash they had. He explains that they have to feed the fly first, as it is their only hope of survival. By the evening, the creature devours all the food, but it is still hungry. The friends are also starving, as they haven't eaten anything in 24 hours, so the very next morning they come up with a risky plan. Using the gun from earlier, they threaten a stranger and force him to buy groceries for them. When they return home, Manu immediately gets to cooking, while Jean Gobb starts training the fly. He lovingly names it Dominique after his ex-girlfriend. The fly appears to be a quick learner, but it will take several days before it can start understanding commands. While the two friends are engrossed in conversation, Manu forgets that the gas stove is on. Because of this, the kitchen, and subsequently the whole trailer, catches fire. Manu barely manages to escape with a pot of broth. Now the two have become homeless again, but at least they have a vision in mind. They spend the evening taking sips from the broth while also feeding it to the insect. That night, they then try to sleep in the car, but Manu is clearly uncomfortable because of Dominique's strange noises. Thus he gets out and sleeps in the open. In the morning, he proposes that they sell the car and get a better one where they can sleep comfortably however when. They try to drive away in the car, it doesn't start. Manu then comes up with yet another solution. He uses a pony bicycle to drag the car to the dealership. Along the way, they are stopped by a group of youngsters. One of the girls, named Cecil, thinks Manu is her school friend Fred. He tries to explain that he isn't the one, but she is so excited to meet him after long that she doesn't pay attention. She then invites the two to her farmhouse where they will be going on a vacation. This is music too. Manu and Jean gobs ears as they can finally have a proper place to stay. Upon arriving at the house, they park the car at a distance and lock Dominique inside it. They then sit by the pool and have some drinks. Cecil's brother Serge is angry that she invited strangers to their house, but he doesn't say anything at the moment. When night falls, Cecil guides them to their rooms, saying they can live here as long as they want. Manu is delighted about it, but Jean Gob is concerned for his pet fly. Later, Cecil brings out her school's yearbook and shows Manu the picture of this Fred guy. To his surprise, they look exactly the same, like they're twins. The SE then cuts to the dinner, and we are introduced to Cecil's sister, Agnes. She suffers from a strange condition, which causes her to talk in a very loud tone. It's almost as if she is screaming all the time. Cecil then reveals that Agnes hit her head when she was a little girl, and from that day on she has never spoken in a soft tone. Following dinner, Jean Gob secretly goes to his car, retrieves Dominique, and brings it to his room. He then starts playing and training with it. On the other hand, Manu goes to his room, but he finds out Aegis already there. He tries to initiate a conversation, but she mistakes it for flirting and kicks him out. Manu then goes to his friend's room, but Jean Gob doesn't allow him in as he has to train the fly. As a result, Manu is forced to spend the night by the pool. The next morning, Agnes confronts Jean Gob outside his room, suspicious that he is hiding someone inside. She claims that she heard him chatting all night. Since Jean Gob cannot reveal about the massive fly, he makes up a lie that it's his pet dog. This unfortunately makes Agnes even more furious, as dogs are strictly not allowed in the house. She vows to tell her sister and kick him out of the house. After she leaves, Jean Gob anxiously summons Manu and explains the entire predicament. He requests him to find a dog as soon as possible or else they will be in trouble. Manu is enraged by a sudden mess up, but he agrees to help. To his luck, he finds a stray puppy right outside the block. He then sneaks it inside and hands it to his friend. Elsewhere, Agnes tells the others that there is a dog in the house. They try to ignore her as she is notorious for making things up, but when she continues to insist, they reluctantly agree to check the room. The group then heads there to find out what's really going on. To their shock, they find Manu holding the tiny puppy. He makes up AABB's story, saying he adopted the dog because it had nowhere to go. He then apologizes for not informing them about it. Cecil is smitten by his selflessness, and she allows the dog to stay. However, Agnes and Serge have started to get suspicious. The noises last night didn't sound like a puppy, they sounded like a giant fly. After everyone leaves, Jean Go shows Manu a trick that he has taught the fly. It has now started obeying his commands and can even move to his signals. This delights the duo, and they think that it's only a matter of time before Dominique can steal food for them. Later, the two jump in the pool and start playing like kids. Agnes is by the pool, and she is visibly upset by the noise they're making. Back inside the room, Dominique is left alone with the tiny puppy. The two stare at each other for a while before the fly lunges at the dog at the pool. Manu and Jean Gob are still making loud noises. This irritates Agnes so much that she curses at them and heads inside the house. She then tries getting into Jean Gob's room, suspecting that he is hiding something. The door is locked, but she manages to open it using her hairpin. Agnes then enters the room only to find a humongous fly. They're terrified. She screams the loudest she ever has, causing everyone to rush to the room. When they ask what happened, Agnes fails to say anything because of the shock. Meanwhile, Jean Gob finds the dog's leash and realizes that Dominique ate it. The others, however, think that Agnes is the one that ate it, so they call the cops on her. After a while, Jean Gob eventually finds Dominique near the pool and secretly hides it in the car. In the next scene, the cops deem Agnes insane and decide to admit her to the hospital. Before she is taken away, she speaks to her sister. She surprisingly talks in a normal tone for the first time in years. Agnes explains everything that she saw in that room. However, Cecil doesn't believe her. Later, as one of the officers is talking to Cecil, he recognizes her as his old classmate. He is none other than Fred, the guy who resembles Manu. To prove He shows a tattoo on his leg that he got during his school D. This leaves Cecil stunned, and she finally realizes that the two guys are imposters. The cops then proceed to arrest them for fraud. But before that, Manu and John Gob manage to escape in their car. Now that they have nowhere to go and no money to feed the fly, they decide to continue their earlier mission. Despite being 3 days late, they head to the target's location and acquire the briefcase. They then head to the second target, who turns out to be a wealthy businessman. The guys hand over the briefcase to him and get paid €500 at this moment. They discover that the briefcase contained nothing but some ornaments. This guy's most love Christmas. The movie then cuts to a few days later, and we see that the two have started living on the beach again. Jean Gob appears to be excited as he has finally completed his training with the fly. He gets a newspaper and shows a picture of bananas to Dominique. He hopes that the insect will fetch the fruit for them. However, as soon as he unties the creature, it just flies away. Jean Gob still hopes that it will return, but Manu is sure that it won't. Now that they're back to square one, they get emotional and start talking about friendship. Manu says that they don't need the fly as they have each other to rely on, and that is the most important gift one can get. Jean nods his head in agreement, but he is still distraught that his pet left him. The two then get inside the car and start the engine, but as they are about to leave, Dominique suddenly appears with a bunch of bananas. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.